The cafe smells of cardamom and diesel exhaust. You've been sitting here for 6 weeks. Same corner table, same order, same newspaper folded the same way. 3 tables over, a man sips his coffee like he has all the time in the world. He has a $25 million bounty on his head and absolutely no idea you're breathing the same air. Nobody does. You are not here. Not officially. Not on any manifest, any payroll, any record that could survive a congressional subpoena. Your phone vibrates once, a single word, green. You don't look up. You don't exhale. You don't let your jaw tighten even a fraction of a millimeter. You fold the newspaper. You take one last sip of tea. You check your watch. The unhurried gesture of a man already late to something mundane. You stand. You leave cash on the table. Not too much, not too little. You walk, not fast, not slow. Just a forgettable businessman heading back to a forgettable office. 90 seconds. That's all you have. That's all you need. You're rounding the second corner when the world behind you comes apart. The shockwave rolls through the soles of your shoes. Car alarms erupt. Glass shatters somewhere in the middle distance. People start running toward the smoke, the way civilians always do, drawn to the catastrophe like moths. You keep walking. Tomorrow the news will call it a gas leak. Intelligence agencies across 3 continents will know the truth, but none of them, not one, will know about you. Because you don't exist. You never did. You didn't apply for this. There was no listing, no headhunter, no 3-panel interview over lukewarm coffee. They found you. By that point, you'd already done things that will stay classified longer than you'll be alive. You'd been to countries where America officially had no presence and left only footprints the desert swallowed whole. Delta, SEAL Team 6, CIA paramilitary. You were the top percentile of an already impossibly thin percentile, and you knew it, which was exactly the problem. You thought you'd seen everything. The man who approaches you looks like he does your taxes. Soft hands, slightly forgettable gut, the kind of face that evaporates from memory before he's even finished shaking yours. No rank, no name tag, no uniform. He sits across from you like he has a PowerPoint about your 401k. He asks almost casually, "How's your Arabic?" You tell him it's decent. You learned it in places that never made the news cycle. He nods once. Slides a folder across the table, inside a single sheet of paper. No letterhead, no classification stamp, just text. The pitch is clean, almost surgical. There is a unit, no patch, no name, no paper trail connecting it to anything you've ever heard of. The military doesn't acknowledge it. The CIA has never said it out loud in a room with windows. Congress believes it's a line item in someone else's black budget. You would work for it. You would become, in the most complete sense of the word, a ghost. He explains what that means. Your service record will show you retired or transferred to a training command in Kansas. Something beige, something nobody follows up on. Your family will be told you have a desk job. You'll miss birthdays, the significant ones, the first ones, the ones that only happen once. You'll miss funerals. You'll call when you can. You won't be able to call often. And if you die in the field, not if, but when the math eventually catches up to you, there will be no body coming home, no flag, no rifle volley cracking over a grave, just a star chiseled into a wall inside a building you will never visit, in a hallway you'll never walk down. No name beneath it, only the star. The man folds his hands on the table. Are you in? You think about your wife, your kids, the version of your life that exists in the universe where you say no, you say yes. He stands, shakes your hand, walks away. You never see him again. 3 days later, coordinates. Somewhere in the American South, you're genuinely uncertain which state. That's intentional. You've survived selection before. Delta stripped you down to something animal and rebuilt you from calcium and stubbornness. The teams tried to drown you for 6 months. You thought you understood what hard was. You thought the curriculum of suffering had a final chapter. This is different. They don't care how far you can run with iron on your back. They don't care about your marksmanship. Those boxes were checked long ago. They want to know one thing. Can you disappear? Day 1, surveillance training. You're handed a photograph. Yeah, brown hair, medium build, the most average human face you've ever seen. Follow him through a city for 8 hours. Don't let him see you. Don't let anyone see you following him. You've tracked insurgents through the back streets of Baghdad. You fail in 2 hours. The instructor doesn't raise his voice. He never raises his voice. He simply lays photographs on the table in front of you. Photographs of you, taken by people you never saw. The woman with the stroller, counter surveillance. She burned you 3 times. Once when you crossed the street half a beat too quickly. Once when you glanced at your phone at the exact wrong moment. Once when a shop owner, also on the team, clocked the eye contact you didn't know you were making. Start over. Day 3. You fail because you wore the same jacket twice. Day 5, you fail because you walk like a soldier, chest forward, shoulders squared, a bearing that screams trained professional to anyone who knows the language of bodies. Day 7, 8 hours, 0 detections. The instructor nods, hands you a new photograph. Harder this time. The target knows he's being followed. You do this for 6 weeks. You learn to rewire everything, your gait, your posture, the unconscious authority in the set of your jaw. You learn that a baseball cap makes you a landmark, that a gray jacket makes you part of the scenery, that people remember faces but forget bodies, that the most dangerous thing a covert operator can be is interesting. The language work is something else entirely. You already speak Arabic. Now they dismantle that and rebuild it. Yemeni dialect. Specific district slang from the streets of Sana'a. Hand gestures that vary between tribes. The particular way men from different provinces settle into chairs. You watch soap operas, game shows. You learn which jokes land, which politicians are despised, who won the football championship in 1987. You spend 3 hours learning how to drink tea. Not the taste, the posture, the way you hold the glass, the angle of the blow across the surface, the precise motion of setting it back down. Get it wrong by a centimeter of social performance, and you are foreign. And being foreign gets you killed. Then they drop you. No money, no identification, no weapon, no support. Into a city you don't recognize, and give you a week to survive and complete 3 objectives. Day 1. You sleep under a bridge with men who have nowhere else to go, and you listen to everything they say. Day 2. You steal food from a market and you let yourself feel guilty about it for exactly as long as it takes to chew. Day 3. You tell a local businessman you were robbed. He buys you dinner, he introduces you to his friends, you file every detail. Day 6. All 3 objectives complete. You're extracted. You think you passed, you barely passed. The washout rate is 90%, not because the candidates are weak. These are Delta operators, SEAL snipers, Green Beret team leaders who've already been through filters that break most human beings. They wash out because they cannot become invisible. The one who needs to dominate every room, gone. The one who can't function without recognition, gone. The one who's 6'4" and built like a monument, gone. You cannot hide 6'4". They keep the gray men, the forgettable ones. The ones whose faces dissolve from memory almost while you're still looking at them. Average height, average build. The kind of person a witness describes to a sketch artist and produces something that looks like everyone and no one. Extraordinary capability, buried beneath aggressively ordinary appearance. You graduate, no ceremony, no photograph with the commanding general, no handshake down a line of brass, a tap on the shoulder, an address, a plane ticket, a new name. Welcome to the activity. The name of the unit mutates constantly. The activity? Gray Fox, Central Spike. Task Force Orange, the Army of Northern Virginia. By the time anyone traces one designation to something real, it has already shed that skin and grown another. Even acknowledging its existence is a classification violation. But the work is real. You spend years inside the shadows between intelligence and action, in the negative space between what the CIA learns and what Special Operations Forces do. You go places that don't appear on mission briefs. You build identities from nothing. Backstories with weight, lives with texture, histories that hold under pressure. You become a North African financier, moving money between charities and organizations that launder violence. For 11 months, you are him. You think in his patterns. You sleep in his rhythms. You let his instincts overwrite yours so completely that one night you catch yourself praying genuinely in his cadence. The intelligence you surface unravels a network. 4 plots. Hundreds of people go home to their families who will never know how close the margin was. But nothing prepares you for the extraction. Somewhere, there is a nuclear scientist. He works for a regime that wants the weapon. Not as deterrence, not as symbol, but as use. The politicians want diplomacy, sanctions, talks that stretch across years while centrifuges spin and enrich. But the intelligence is clear. This man is not a believer. He is a hostage to his own expertise, his family held as collateral against his compliance. His daughter's school monitored, his wife followed everywhere she goes. He wants out. Someone high up asks the question that changes everything. What if we got him out? Not a strike, not an assassination, an extraction, scientist, wife, 2 daughters, out of a country where failure constitutes an international incident. Possibly a war. No military assets, no official footprint. If you're caught, you're a criminal operating alone, and the United States will not only deny you, they will prosecute you with visible sincerity. 4 operators, all ghosts, all activity. The operation takes months of preparation conducted entirely through cutouts, intermediaries who don't know who they're working for or why. Maps, bribes, documents so meticulously constructed, they cost $50,000 each. Safe houses arranged through channels so deeply layered that the layers themselves don't know each other. Contact is made through the scientist's daughter's piano teacher. She's been embedded for 3 years, waiting for a mission that finally arrived. The message is simple: one chance, one night. Trust us or spend the rest of your life building weapons for men who will use them. He says yes. The night of the extraction, the power grid of an entire district goes dark. Not an accident. A favor from the signals people who will never appear in any account of what happened. In the darkness, you move. The scientist, his wife, his 2 daughters. The youngest is 7 years old, and she thinks this is an adventure. You let her believe that. You do not have the luxury of guilt about it. A car to a checkpoint. Forged documents that hold under scrutiny. A guard who believes he's enabling smugglers and pockets his bribe without meeting your eyes. A boat across water you'll never name in any context where the name could be written down. 8 hours in the dark. No instruments you trust. No backup that can reach you in time to matter. The little girl gets seasick. You hold her hair back while she vomits over the side of the boat. The water is black. The horizon is black. Somewhere ahead is something that looks like safety. Safe house to safe house for 2 weeks, moving every night. Sleeping in the gray hours before dawn, every car that eases past the window is potentially the last thing you see. Finally, an unmarked airfield, a plane with no tail numbers. Handshakes with men who don't offer names. The scientist makes it out. He is debriefed for 6 months. He provides everything: diagrams, personnel, locations, timelines. The nuclear program is set back a decade, maybe more. No bombs, no war. Millions of lives that will never know how close they came to ending in a flash of consuming light. The family gets new identities, a house in a country they've never been to. The little girl will grow up American. She will go to college. She will fall in love. She will never know your name or what you did in the dark on that boat while she was sick over the side. You return to your next identity, your next mission. Years accumulate. The wife is gone. She couldn't hold on to a husband who disappeared for months at a time, who couldn't say where, who came back different each time, who flinched at backfiring engines and couldn't sleep without the television murmuring in the corner. The divorce was quiet. She got the house. You got a studio apartment you've slept in perhaps 30 nights total. Your son is 14. You've missed 6 of his birthdays. He knows you as the father who travels for work, who sends gifts from cities he can't name, who always seems like he's listening for something in the walls. Friends don't exist. Your cover doesn't allow them. Every relationship is either professional infrastructure or a liability. The psychological ledger is worse. You've cultivated sources, human beings who trusted you, who believed in the relationship you performed for them. and then fed their coordinates to people whose job is to ensure they never attend another meeting. That courier in the hotel, the one whose documents your team lifted from his room, he had photographs in his wallet. 3 children. The youngest maybe 4 years old in the photo, squinting into summer light. You dream in Arabic now. Some mornings you wake up and for a few seconds, 3, 4, 5, you cannot remember your real name. You have to find your original passport, hold it, read it. There is no medal for this, no parade, no public accounting. When you retire, your family will be told you had a heart attack at your desk in Kansas. So why have you done it? 3 weeks ago, a device didn't detonate in a shopping mall in Northern Virginia. 200 people went home, mothers and fathers and children trying on shoes, couples arguing about what to eat for dinner, a teenager filming something stupid for his friends. None of them will ever know your name. That's the only medal that holds up on the bad nights, most nights. You're in a cafe, could be anywhere. Maybe Europe, maybe somewhere on the American East Coast where the light comes in at this particular angle in autumn. You are just a man reading a newspaper, gray at the temples now. A few more lines around the eyes. Still, somehow the face that dissolves from memory, almost as you're forming the impression. A young man sits 2 tables over, fit, alert, trying too hard to look casual. He holds his coffee wrong. His posture is a degree too precise, the unconscious rigidity of someone who was told to relax and is now performing relaxation. He checks his watch with a frequency that announces he is waiting for something he was told not to appear to be waiting for. Amateur. You made him in 3 seconds. You recognize that look the way you recognize your own handwriting. You wore it once, a long time ago, Manny, before the languages, before the covers, before the bodies, before the stars accumulating on that wall in a building you'll never visit. He's watching someone, learning the craft from the outside in. Agency, probably. Maybe military intelligence, fresh enough that the institutional optimism hasn't fully metabolized into something quieter. He thinks he's invisible. He isn't. You could walk over, you could teach him things that would take him years to learn alone. How to use a coffee cup as cover for your face, how to track someone using nothing but window reflections, how to move to the rhythm of traffic signals so your pauses look like everyone else's pauses, how to become so thoroughly, aggressively, weaponizedly boring that the human eye slides off you like water off stone. But you won't, because he doesn't know you exist. He never will. That's the rule. That's always been the rule. There is no retirement ceremony for ghosts, no gold watch. No pension you can explain to an accountant without watching their expression change. One day, you simply stop getting the signal. Maybe you teach now, training the next generation of invisible people in a facility that doesn't appear on any satellite image, in a building with no sign, with students who arrived under names they'll discard like luggage. Maybe you consult a contractor with no documentable history, hired for capabilities that can't appear on any resume. Compensated through shell companies that exist only on paper in jurisdictions that don't ask questions. Or maybe you disappear one final time, into a life that is, for the first time, genuinely yours. A house somewhere quiet, a garden, a dog that doesn't need you to be anyone in particular. Simple things, real things. But part of you never fully comes in from the cold. The car that passes twice, the man who lingers 3 seconds too long by the corner, the pattern that doesn't fit the noise of ordinary life. Old instincts don't die. They go quiet and wait, like everything else you were trained to do, because you know the truth that most people are never cleared to know. The world is kept safe by people who don't officially exist, by agencies that have never been formally acknowledged, by men and women who surrendered everything. Marriages, children, names, the ordinary continuity of a human life. For a country that will never say their names out loud. No monuments, no parades, no public gratitude. Just a star on a wall, no name beneath it. You look at the young man in the cafe. He might be extraordinary. He might wash out in the first week. He might die in a country that will deny he was ever there. He might become one of those anonymous stars, or he might become what you became, a shadow with a heartbeat, a person who exists only in documents sealed for 75 years. By the time anyone reads them, everyone who knew him will be gone. That's the trade. It's always been the trade. You finish your coffee. You fold your newspaper with the unhurried precision of a man with nowhere particular to be. You leave exact change on the table and not a cent more, and you step outside. The sun is shining. The street is full of people moving through their lives. Couples with interlaced fingers, children in school uniforms, a businessman reading something on his phone that matters enormously to him and to no one else. The ordinary, gorgeous, oblivious current of the world. None of them know. None of them will ever know. That's the point. You step into the light, just another face, just another body moving through a city that will not remember you passed through it. Forgettable, invisible, gone.